We are learning Daf Chav Beis Amid Beis in Masechtas Yoma. Here we go. So we're talking about the Chumas Hadashin in the morning. The Kahanim would race up Vim Hayu Shneim Shav, and second line down on Chav Beis Amid Beis Vim Hayu Shneim Shav and Amuna Amirlem Hetzbiyu. So then they'd have to do a pious Tana. Haitziu Etzbeisechem. The word Hetzbiyu is a joining two words together of Haitzi and Etzbeisechem. So you got Haitziu Etzbeisechem. Take out your fingers, limited to be counted. In fact, the Gemara of the two. Why don't you just count the Kahanim? And says the Gemara, it's forbidden to count the Jewish people, afilu dvar mitzvah, even for dvar mitzvah. Dechsiv vayefkidem babazak. And he, Shaul, counted his soldiers babazak with broken shards. Now, that means everybody could put in a shard, and he counted the shards. He didn't count them. Now, who's counting anybody here? They're doing a pies, a lottery. Like, what are we bringing a riot to exactly? I mean, you were counting the Jewish people? I mean, is that what we're dealing with over here? They're doing a pies. Number one. Number two, you count. Okay, so how do we deal with that, Kasha? So, well, after you did the lotto, you would figure out how many people there were there. Right? If you started from the kohen who you took off his hat and you're counting fingers, so eventually you're going to get back to him and you'll know how many people are there, I guess. That is, I'm reading here in the notes from Dirshu. He says, you'll know the number of Kahanim that were standing there for the girl, and that's considered counting. The issue with that is we'll have to see if you were able to put out more than one finger. So in the you wouldn't know. Okay. V'yesha kasav, they bring on the side, that the Itzer is counting people even if you won't know the number. The actual counting of people is the problem. They bring a raya from here. You see that they were counting, even though they wouldn't know how many. That's a chasam sefer. So the actual counting is a problem. So how here were they getting around that issue? So they were getting around the issue by counting fingers. That is what it sounds like in the Gemara. Rav Moshe learns that counting fingers and people is the same thing. So what was the pshat here? It's possible that not everybody there stuck out a finger. And therefore, you're not going to know how many people are there. So this is machlokes Rav Moshe and the Chasam Sofer. Is the counting the issue, or is counting the individual people? Is that the problem, or is knowing the number of people, knowing the number of how many people are there, is the problem? Moshe holds counting. The issue is knowing the how many people you have, and therefore, if you're not going to know how many people are actually here, it's not going to be a problem. Chasam Sofer holds no, counting is the actual problem. Here, I guess he holds that since you are counting fingers, that's good enough. Okay, so we brought a raya from Shaul who says vayefaktem babozek, and he counted them with bozek. The Gemara's havmin here is that babozek means with shards. So everybody brought a piece of pottery and they put it in and they counted the shards. Says the Gemara, Maskefla Ravashi, interjects Ravashi, Mimai the High Bazek listen the Mivzik, who had the language here of Bazek and the Pasuk means broken shards. The Dilma, Shema Damasu. Maybe it's the name of the city. Vayafkidem Babazek, in the city of Bazek. Kidchsiv, like the Pasuk says, V'yimtzu as Adoni Bazek. They found my master Bazek. The pasuk there says, "V'yimtzu es Adoni Bazek bivazek." So as they left out that part of the point, but it says Lamaisa. The pasuk says that Bazek was a place. Okay, Bazek, that was a place. So that's not a good source. Ella mehacha. Rather, from here we have a source that you can't count people. Vayishama Shaul gathered the people. Vayifkedim betalam, and he counted them with sheep. Why was he counting with sheep? Because he didn't want to count them. Why was Shaul counting? He wanted to know how many people he had in his army so he can go fight the war. Agav, that seemed, the Gemara said before that this is for a Dvar mitzvah. So you see, knowing how many people you have with you to go fight a war in Eretz Yisrael, which is a mitzvah, is considered a Dvar mitzvah. Zok the Gemara Vaiter, Amar Belazar, Kol Hamoina Es Yisrael Oiver Belav. Anybody who counts the Jewish people is Oiver, he has transgressed a prohibition, a lav. The Mefarshim say this is just an asmachta. It's not a real lav, because you'll see the pasuk it's coming from, but it's a geshmak. Chazal answered it. What's that? The pasuk says, "V'shnema v'haya mispar b'nei Yisrael kechel hayam asher lo yimod v'lo yisofer." This is in pasuk. There's a pasuk in Hosea. It says, "V'haya mispar b'nei Yisrael kechel hayam asher lo yimod v'lo yisofer v'haya b'makom asher yamar lehem le'ami atem yamar lechem b'nei el chai." Okay, a pasuk in Hosea. You'll be like the number of the Jewish people will be like the sand of the sea that you cannot count. Because the pasuk says, "Lo yimod v'lo yisofer." They will not be counted. They won't have a number. Givaldik. Amar. So that's we're learning here that there's a law. You're not allowed to do it. We're dashing the pasuk. Lo yimod v'lo yisofer. Do not do it. Do not count. Rabbi Yonason asks a stira between these psukim. The beginning of the pasuk says, the number of the Jewish people will be like the kechel hayam, like the sand. Uksiv asher lo yimod v'lo yisofer. The pasuk says that you can't count them; they will be infinite. Well, do they have a number? Is there a mispar to the Bnei Yisrael, or is it lo yimod? Do they not have a number? Answers the Gemara, when Klal Yisrael does the Ratzon of Hashem, so then we have no number. And if we don't do the Ratzon of Hashem, then we are numbered. Rabbi Yomer, Mishum Abi Yosi Ben Dustoi, Loi Kasha, can be the Adam, can be the Shemayim. Be the Shemayim, they can count. Be the Adam, we can't be counted. Gewaldig. Amr of Niloi, Bar Iti, Amr Shmuel. Kivin shenismana Adam, Parnas Alatzibur. The person is appointed to be a leader over the tzibur. Mis Asher, he gets wealthy. Meikarik Sev, because what do you see by Shaul HaMelech? Originally, when he counted the people, the soldiers, Vayifkedim Bebazik, he was counting them with shards. He was counting them with his sheep. He told each of them, go get a ship and bring it over, and then he counted the sheep. So he did well. Why did he make money? Because when you're a nismana, a parnas ala tzibur, you're misasher. You get wealthy. The Meiri adds that that's if you act with yashrus and emanus. And the reason is because you won't feel a need to be machnav them, to flatter the people. Wow, Bened says people give you covet when you're a parnas. If they're giving you covet because of your mitzvahs, so then it's going to take away from your Elam Haba. But if they're giving you covered for your money, not big deal. It won't take away from your Elam Haba. That's an order that people shouldn't suspect that you got rich from the people. So therefore, if you're nismana as a leader, you got wealthy. Alrighty. Zog the Heilige Gemara weiter. In fact, the Gemara Vidilma Miditu. Maybe I stopped in the middle there. Maybe the people were bringing their own sheep, and you don't have a raya that Shola got rich and Cain might have boosted them also. Then who really cares? That how he counted them, what we counted them with. The point was saying that he counted them with his sheep. Gewalt. Zog the Gemara weiter. Vayirav Banachal. This is talking about when Shaul went to battle against Amalek. Pasuk says, "Vayave Shaul ir Amalek vayirav benachal." And he fought in the Nachal. So the Gemara is going to pick up on there's a mitzvah called Egla Arufa, which is if a person is found dead in between two cities and they don't know which city he was coming from. They don't know who the murderer was. So they bring an Egla Arufa, and that is brought by a Nachal, by a stream. They take a cow or a calf and they bring it down to the stream and they break its neck. And they said, like, we didn't kill this person. So that's what we're going to play off of here. Vayira benachal, Amr of money, al iski nachal. We're talking about the Egla Rufa here. B'shosha Amr le'akadosh baruch hu l'Shaul. Listen to this, Chavra. When Akadosh Baruch Hu said to Shaul, go, lech v'hikitza es Amalek, go kill Amalek, wipe out Amalek, hit them. Omar, Shaul said, uman nefesh achas Amr teira, haba Egla Rufa, ave Egla Rufa. If we find one person dead, you have to bring an Egla Rufa, kol nefashis halalu. All of these people, alachas kama v'kama. V'im adam chata. And if man sins, so that's why I have to kill them. Behema machata. What did the behema do wrong? V'im gedaylum chatu. And if adults sin, ketana machatu. What did the youngsters do wrong? We hear this taina. Here, it seems senseless. Yotza Basko v'amraloy. Basko went out and said to him, Alti tzaddik harbe. Don't be a great tzaddik. Don't be such a great tzaddik. When you have rachmanis on the wrong things, it's not good. Look what happens. When Shaul told Doeg, go surround and wipe out the Kehanim, who he was told that the Kehanim helped David, who was running away from him. And he held that David was a married B'malchus, rebelled against the king. And therefore, anybody helping him deserves to be wiped out. And he wiped out a Naiv Ira Kehanim. Yatsa Basko and Ava Amrulai, Al Tirshahabi, don't be so wicked. And the limit is when people have Rahmanis in the wrong places, they end up having, they end up being too, strong in the wrong places too. So that's what happened here. Okay, Amravuna. Kama lecholi v'lemagish gavra demari CIA. If you can have the Murray, the master of the world, helping you out, there's no need for chayli. You don't have to get sick. You don't have to feel. You don't have to be sensitive. You don't have to be worried about anything. Rashi says, "Kama choli v'lemargish, kama somach muftach." How secure and reliant you could be. Tzarich lichlei, something to get sick, v'ludag, and worry mikol ra for any evil. Misha Kadosh Baruch Hu bazu, whoever Kadosh Baruch Hu was helping. Because we find, and the Gemara continues, we find that Shaul messed up once, and it counted for him, and he was done. David mixes up twice, and it doesn't count for him, doesn't affect him. I mean, it affects him, but it doesn't lose his malchus because of that. Shaul ba'achas mahi, what was the mess up that Shaul did? Ma'isa de Agag, the story of Agag, that he didn't kill the behemoths, and Agag disguised himself as a behemoth, and it ends up that he didn't kill him. I mean, first he doesn't kill, he had Rahmanas on killing the king, because he himself was a king, so he didn't kill Agag, and then Agag disguised himself as an animal, and he didn't wipe out Amalek, and that's it. And Shaul tells, the Shmuel Navi tells Shaul, B'Shem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that Nichamti, I've regretted anointing you as king. What about that Maisa of Ira Kehanim when he wiped out the whole city of Kehanim? Says the Gemara, it's specifically on the Maisa of Agag that the Navi says, Nichamti ki machti Shaul l'melech. It's I regret. You're right. He did something else wrong, but that's not why he lost the melucha for his children. That's Nichamti. That was because of the Maisa of Agag. David B'Shalom, what were the two? Ma'ini, what are they? The Uriah. He sent Uriah to get killed. He sent him out to battle to the front lines to get killed. Udahasata, and that is referring to that he counted the Jewish people at the end of his life. And there was a big plague because of that. The Gemara says that's it. Those are the only two things that David did wrong. He didn't lose. That he and he didn't lose the milcha. What about the story with Bathsheba? He was Baal Bathsheba. The Gemara says Hasam Ifrumine. He got punished for that. He got punished for that. Because of this little Shepsela, that's the Navi when he spoke to when Nasan the Navi rebuked David for the Maisa with Bathsheba, so he told him a whole mashal. There was a poor guy and he had one sheep and someone took a sheep. So that's the Nimshali Vesa Kivsa, is referring to Bathsheba. Because of that, Yishalim Abratam, you're going to pay 4 times. What was the 4? The Gemara says Yeled, his first child from Bathsheba, died. Amnon died, was killed by Avshalom because he raped Tamar. That's the next one. Tamar got raped by Amnon. But Avshalom rebelled against him and also got killed. But in that mice of Amnon and Tamar, so Avshalom went and killed Amnon for because she was Avshalom's sister. Now Tamar herself was a bas yifas toyar to David HaMelech, possibly, or she was the Yefas Toyer. Her mother was already pregnant with Tamar before David had relations with her. So it wasn't really his daughter, it was like his daughter, but it was still affected David tremendously. Okay, so the Gemara says again, so those are the Maisa, but we brought the two of Uriah and the counting of the Jewish people that we said it was also like he didn't get punished for those, even though there are other things that occurred in his life, but he got punished for them. Okay. But they paid. He got punished. It was paid back. He got punished for that too. So the Jewish people got, I think it was 70,000 people died in that plague because David counted the Jewish people. So that's not a punishment. It is a punishment, but it wasn't directly from him. So also now it wasn't directly from him. And they did. It was migufe. David after the chet after the chet of Bathsheba, so the Bezdin, the Sanhedrin, would not talk to David. The Sanhedrin separated from him. He lost the Shechina. Return to me those who fear you, those who know your Torah. You return to me the happiness of your salvation. I guess that's referring to the Shechina. There's another thing that David did wrong. He was makabel lashon hara about Mephibosheth. Tzivia told him that Mephibosheth is rebelling against him, and he accepted it. And he gave Mephibosheth's property to Tzivia. He says, "Kishmul damar likibel David lashon hara." Okay, so maybe this man damar holds like Shmuel that he wasn't makabel lashon hara. Says Rav Nami damar kibul David lashon hara. Even according to Rav, who says that David was makabel lashon hara, he got paid back for that. Damar Rav Yudah Amar Rav B'shosh Amar Le David Mephibosheth. Then when David comes back to Yerushalayim, Mephibosheth comes out to greet him, and he says, and he says that it made up lies about me. So David says okay, but he wasn't sure who was right, so he still split the nachla between the two of them. Amarti Atav Etziva Techalku Asasada, and he shouldn't have done that. He should have given the whole thing back to Mephibosheth. And at that moment, Yatzabaskal v'Amrloi Rechavim Yeravam Yechalku Asamalchus, because you split the nachla between Siva and Mephibosheth, your malchus is going to be split. Whoa, that's harsh. Okay, says the Gemara, Ben Sha'ona Sha'ul b'Malchai. But he says Shaul was a year in his malchus. What does that mean? Amar Rav Huna ki ben shana shleitam tamchet. He never tasted a sin. Maskler of Nachman Yitzchak. If Nachman Yitzchak interjects, strongly opposes this. The Ema maybe it just means maybe he's like a baby who's all dirty and tit and soya. Maybe he did lots of affairs. Whoa. Achviu Leila Rav Nachman. They showed to Rav Nachman, Siyuta Bechalme. They showed him in his dream that was not good. What Siyuta? Malchi Pachad Mathilam, I say. There were angels that were scaring him. So he realized that he spoke too harsh about Shaul. Amar Nesi Lachem, Atzmei Shaul ben Kish. I apologize, Atzmei Shaul ben Kish. Again, he saw these Malchi Chavala in his dream. Amar Nesi Lachem, Atzmei Shaul ben Kish, Malach Yisrael. You have to give the proper covet to Shaul Melech. Why didn't Malchus Beshol extend? You know why? Because he did nothing wrong. Pella, no? The only appoint someone on the tzibur who's got a bag of a kupa shel shrotzim, a bag of rodents hanging behind him. Meaning he's got to pass. His yichus isn't perfect. Something's wrong. Why? If he gets too haughty, that make it just tell him, hey, why don't you look backwards? So it's important. It keeps a person humble. Shaul, he came from Binyamin. He was from Mamish, a tzaddik, and wasn't good. He couldn't remain a leader in his family. Rav, why did Shaul get punished? He got punished because he was meichel on his covet. The king can't be meichel on his covet. But he was, Shenemach, the Pasuk says, B'nei B'lial Amru, Ma yeshin zeh, Vivazu, V'lehevu lemincha. These scoffers said, who is this guy? They embarrassed him. They didn't bring him any presents. V'yikim acharish, and Shaul was quiet. Uksir, the Pasuk says, V'yal nachash amani, V'yichan al yavesh gilad. And Shaul went to war against them. And the pasuk continues, the people said they wanted to, once Shaul was victorious, so they said, you know what, there were people that weren't talking good about you, let's go kill them. And Shaul said, no, don't kill them. That was a mistake. Rashi says, last Rashi, Yisrael, Mi Aimer Shaul Yomach Aleinu Bitmiya. Tenu es Anashim V'nemisan, let's kill them. V'hu Aimer no one's going to die that day. He was meichel on his covet, and that was not appropriate as king of Israel. Okay, Chavra, have a wonderful evening. I hope to see you tomorrow.